you were explaining on your involvement.
Yep. And I was saying that the Chief Constable and I go to supermarkets or marketplaces or schools to meet the public in something called What Matters to You, where we hear from the public what they want from the police and from me. I also do patchwalks, as I've told you. I do public meetings, and I go and meet other voluntary groups and charity groups in order to try and describe what my job involves, but more importantly to listen to what the public who elected me want me to do.
And maybe on that note, for interest's sake, how does one become a police commissioner? Maybe I might be interested.
Maybe you'll be interested. Well, first of all, you have to win the election. But in order to be able to stand at the election, someone has written a note for me, so I can tell you from my note. I'm not sure I would know without my notes here. You have to be 18.
Okay.
You have to be, on the day, you have to be a British citizen, an eligible Commonwealth citizen, or at the moment, of course, a member of the European Union, but that may change. You have to be a registered local government elector in a local council in your police area. So I live in Leicestershire, in Harborough District Council area, so I qualify. So you obtain the papers, you submit the papers, and you appoint an election agent. You can either stand as an independent, or you can stand for a political party. It's like elections the whole world round.
Okay. Really, this is quite interesting. May I come to this other point? You see, how do you compare yourself with your neighbours, with the other cities within UK, and also, if possible, if you go outside UK, how do you rate yourself? I think you've been in this field for quite some time. You know what you have done, what you are doing.
Well, Pythias, this is the most difficult question. How can I compare myself? I don't know, is the answer. I don't know. I mean, I work closely with my neighbours, every police force, and there are 5 of them in the East Midlands area where we are now. I know all of them, the police and crime commissioners. We work closely. I think we all have strengths, some in different ways, and we have weaknesses in different ways. So I'm not so presumptuous as to be able to tell you, to compare myself with them. This is as far as the area is concerned, Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland, this is an interesting area because it is a mixture of urban area, cities and big towns, or city and big towns, and lots of rural areas, which are very different from the cities. So it's a big contrast between the cities and the big towns and the rural areas. Some people say Leicester and Leicestershire are what they call a microcosm of the United Kingdom. So your question asked, the other thing to say about this area is that the population is increasing very rapidly, both in the city and in the larger county. So it's hard to compare myself. I think we do some things quite well here, and I think there are probably some things we don't do so well.
Maybe to further on to that one, do you engage in any exchange programs with other countries or with other neighbors or with other cities? And if you do so, have you realized any progress in achievements?
We don't at the moment engage with other countries in terms of programs, because I don't think other countries have this system, but I would very much like there to be more engagement with other countries. I know our police force here and in the rest of the UK engage very closely with the police force in the EU and elsewhere. I hope they can continue to do so if we do leave the EU, if Brexit takes place. I think there's a problem there. But we work here in our region in collaboration in a number of areas. One is criminal justice. We have an East Midlands Criminal Justice Board. Another area is in learning and development, the training of police officers and police staff. But the most important is around serious offending, East Midlands serious offending. And there, all the 5 forces that make up the East Midlands contribute to a central force called EMSU. They take over murder inquiries and take over other inquiries that are involved with very serious crime. And we collaborate as 5 forces in order to try and get a good system that's to all our advantage. So we do collaborate, but also the majority of everyday work is done in the force itself.
Can you identify any crimes you find it difficult to handle and suggest any possible solutions or help you may need, either from the government or from the public, or both?
Well, we always need help from the public, always. The more help we get from the public, the police get from the public, the better. What is interesting is that there are a lot of crimes that have come to be leading crimes now, when in the past they were a bit forgotten or didn't really happen. The ones that were forgotten for a long time are things like domestic violence, where often in families there will be assaults, either physical or what we call coercive, often by a man on a woman, but it can be the other way around, which can sometimes end in death or injury. And these are very common. Domestic violence is very common. It is a difficult offence for the police to deal with because it is committed in private. So there's that. There's also the whole issue around what we call modern slavery. That is people who seem to be leading ordinary lives, but in fact are being exploited by bosses, by employers, who treat them like slaves, really. Not as slaves, but like slaves. That's a modern crime, and we have to try and deal with that. That's difficult to find out. But the new crime, or not so new now, a few years old, is cybercrime. So that is using modern technology, our computers, our mobiles, our digital machines, and we know that a lot of cybercrime goes on. That is people's bank accounts being broken into, so their details are known and their money taken. It can involve fraud of many different types. It can also involve, I'm afraid to say, sexual exploitation of young people who are playing on their computer when some adults try to groom them for sexual purposes. All these are the kind of things I think you're asking me about.
In addition to the nature of crimes you are talking of, do we have any foreign offenders within your area? And if any, how do you also handle such criminals?
Yes, there are foreign offenders in Britain, like there are British offenders in other countries too. Police work with very diverse communities here in Leicester and Leicestershire. It's one of the great things about this area is that it's very diverse, but there are also foreign offenders here, and as I say, some of them will be from other countries. A foreign offender is dealt with depending on the nature of the crime that they have committed, the same as anyone else would be. If they're living in this country illegally, then the authorities would be notified.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, one of the issues sometimes with foreign offenders is they need an interpreter to help them understand what our court system, how our court system works.
I am very happy, Lord Billy, with the information you have given me. I think for the time being this is enough. If there is any need, we'll be meeting again and discuss further. Thank you very much for your nice presentation.
Thank you for inviting me to take part in the interview, and thank you for the questions you asked, even though some of them are very difficult.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.